There are enemies you can fight with a sword. And then there are enemies that never raise a weapon because they don't have to. They keep you trapped not through force, but through comfort. In Buddhist cosmology, that enemy has a name, Mâra. In the classical texts, Mâra is described as male, often called the evil one or a great demon. Yet across traditions, figures of binding and illusion are often portrayed through maternal archetypes. Mothers who do not free, but entangle. In this light, Mâra can be understood as a grim mother, not nurturing growth, but nurturing dependence. Mâra is not only the figure who tried to stop the Buddha from awakening. She is also the one who keeps every being circling endlessly in samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. She does this not by direct attack, but by offering sweetness, always just enough to keep you reaching for more. Think about the gambler who pulls the lever again and again because the next win might be just around the corner. Or the phone user who checks their screen one more time because the message might have arrived. The behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner described this as intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful form of conditioning. Mâra works in exactly this way. She offers fleeting moments of pleasure, small glimpses of success, sudden bursts of validation, not constantly, not predictably, but just often enough to keep you hooked. And so you stay caught in the cycle, chasing the next high, the next approval, always convinced that this time it will be different. Under the Bodhi tree, the Buddhist texts describe how, as the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, close to awakening, Mâra appeared. She brought storms to shake him, armies to frighten him, and temptations to seduce him. Yet her sharpest weapon was not violence or fear, but comfort. Her whisper was simple: stay. Stay in this world of illusions. Stay where pleasure comes without loss, power without responsibility, praise without criticism. She offered him a life without sharp edges, a life padded with illusions, a life that looked safe but was designed to keep him asleep. And that whisper is the same one she gives to us each day. One story says that when storms and armies failed, Mâra sent her daughters. They were named Desire, Restlessness, and Delight. They danced before the Buddha, offering beauty, affection, and pleasure. They did not arrive as threats, but as promises, not as demons, but as lovers. Yet the Buddha remained unmoved, because he saw them not as women or temptations, but as passing states of mind. Desire rises and fades, restlessness rises and fades, delight rises and fades. Once he saw them for what they were, they lost their power, and the daughters departed in frustration. The lesson is clear. Every day we face the same daughters, in the form of cravings, comparisons, and fleeting pleasures that distract us from what matters. Another tale tells of Mâra unleashing an army of monsters, filling the sky with arrows and thunder. The ground shook, the weapons rained down, and the scene was filled with terror. But as the arrows reached the Buddha, they turned into lotus petals, falling harmlessly at his feet. The attack dissolved into flowers because it was never real to begin with. The arrows were fear. The monsters were distraction. Once they were seen clearly, they had no more power. This is how Mâra's illusions work. They seem overwhelming until you recognize them for what they are. The Earth Witness, another story, deepens this theme. When Mâra claimed that the Buddha had no right to sit beneath the Bodhi tree, she demanded that the seat belong to her. In response, the Buddha reached down and touched the earth, calling it to witness his lifetimes of striving for awakening. The earth shook, and Mâra's claim dissolved. This story is not about land ownership, it is about legitimacy. Mâra represents the voice that says, "You have no right to be free, no right to change, no right to awaken." And the Buddha's gesture shows the opposite. That freedom is already grounded in the reality of existence itself. You do not need permission from illusion to awaken. Here Mâra reveals her deepest cruelty. She acts like the parent who refuses to let a child walk alone, not from hatred, but from fear. What looks like safety is in truth helplessness. Her love is a cage disguised as protection. Psychology calls this overprotection, when care turns into control. A parent who shields too much prevents the child from building resilience. Fragility is the result. Mâra's care mirrors this dynamic, a comfort that smothers growth instead of nurturing it. Her daughters, desire, restlessness, and delight, are not separate figures but extensions of her grip. They are dependents carried forward, the habits we inherit when we surrender to comfort. To yield to her daughters is to remain a child, always waiting for comfort, always reaching for reassurance, never standing fully on your own. This is Mâra's victory, not through violence but through dependence. Her smothering comfort appears kind, yet it makes beings fragile. Like an overprotective parent, she keeps her children lulled, never resilient. In this way, Mâra's motherhood becomes dependency itself, a care that imprisons rather than frees. Desire, restlessness, and delight reappear here not as temptations but as her legacy. Psychology calls this learned helplessness, when constant rescue teaches us we cannot stand alone. Her daughters embody this cycle not by striking us down but by keeping us soft, distracted, and dependent. Illusion feels maternal because it hides harsh truths. Like a mother covering a child's eyes, it says, "Don't face impermanence, don't look at pain." Yet the price of this comfort is immaturity. Mâra's illusions make us fragile, as though we were porcelain children who never learned to bear life's weight. Even after the Buddha's awakening, Mâra returned, not with storms but with whispers, weariness, doubt, hesitation. These are not chains of iron but chains of affection. The grim mother does not strike. She holds too tightly. And in that embrace, the child never becomes free. In the Theravada tradition, Mâra's domain includes every attachment that binds the mind to samsara: lust, greed, distraction, false comfort. Each is sweetness on chains, a gesture of care that robs strength. Her power ends the moment you see the bait for what it is. Once you recognize the cradle is not safety but captivity, you are already beginning to stand. The most dangerous face of Mâra is not storms or demons, but comfort dressed as love. She does not need iron to bind her children. Affection itself becomes the chain, holding them close so they never leave. Her subtlest weapon is the lap that feels safe. The voice that says, "Rest here, stay small, don't take the step into the unknown." It feels tender, but it keeps you from growing. The grim mother does not have to strike. She only has to hold. In Buddhist thought, Mâra's reach extends beyond lust or greed. It includes every attachment disguised as sweetness, comfort that feels like care, desire that feels like joy, habits that feel like love. Each is sugar on chains. Her power lasts only until you see the disguise for what it is. The Buddha did not defeat Mâra with argument, nor drive her away with violence. His answer was awareness. He simply saw clearly. Illusion revealed as illusion was already powerless. The golden cage, once recognized, was just a cage, and the door was open. From a psychological view, breaking free from Mâra is like breaking a habit loop. The craving fades once you stop believing the reward will complete you. The cycle weakens once you see it cannot fill the emptiness. Whether called conditioning, desire, or craving, the truth is the same. Freedom begins when you stop reaching. The Stoics said the same in different words. Epictetus warned that if you are owned by what you crave, you are a slave. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what you love can bind you as much as what you fear. Both traditions pierce the illusion. Endless pursuit is not freedom but bondage. And courage in the face of discomfort is strength. Mâra's strategies did not vanish with ancient India. They return every time distraction wins over presence. Every time we trade reality for comfort. The glowing slot machine has become the glowing screen. The daughters of Mâra appear as curated images, likes, and digital applause. Fleeting rewards keep us hooked. We do not need demons, we carry the battlefield in our pockets. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty, but the willingness to meet it without illusion. The Buddha did not silence storms. He saw them clearly. The Stoic did not demand fortune to be kind. He trained to stand firm when it was not. Liberation comes not from patting life with comfort, but from facing life with all its sharp edges, and no longer being deceived. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty, but the willingness to meet it without illusion. The Buddha did not stop storms. He saw them clearly. The Stoic did not demand fortune to be kind. He trained himself to stand firm when it was not. Liberation is not patting life with comfort, but entering life with all its sharp edges and no longer being deceived. This is why stories like these matter. Not because they are ancient legends locked away in the past, but because they hold up a mirror to our own lives. They show us how we fall into the same traps, how we surrender to the same whispers. If you wish to keep walking beyond these illusions, there are more myths, more wisdom, and more truths waiting here on this channel. Subscribe and like the video if you want more journeys like this one. Mâra will always remain close, not as a distant demon, but as the gentle whisper of escape, the easy path, the promise of sweetness without consequence. Her voice is soft, but her chains are heavy. And yet, the moment they are seen clearly, they begin to fall away. For the cruelest prison is the one that feels like home. And the deepest awakening is the one that shows you that you were never bound at all. This was the Buddha's victory, not to flee the world, not to destroy Mâra, but to awaken in the midst of her illusions and see through them.